Let's talk about working with Microsoft Visual Studio .NET 2003. Very long name, but a very good product. You don't necessarily have to use Visual Studio to compile your applications. We'll look at the command line compiler as well. We'll also look at some other solutions. Primal Code is one. There are free solutions as well. There are many ways to work with your C# projects and the .NET environment in general, but Visual Studio .NET 2003 is an excellent product. And you might want to consider the 2005 product when it comes out. It's currently in beta, but that's going to be quite exciting as well with different versions of the software that you can work with. If you're dealing with a new project here, you can just do File, New Project. Before we do that, we're going to take a look here at the Start page, which comes up. You'll probably see that there. You can see online resources and your projects. I won't concentrate on this too much. This just lets you see a list of common projects that you had opened already and get resources to help you out, as well as look at your profile. No big deal. If you did a new project from there or the menu, you're working with Visual C# projects, and you have a wealth of projects that you can deal with here. You have the Windows application. This is your normal Windows application that sets up really nicely for you to start. A class library would be something. This is going to be a library of code that you can work with other projects or use within your projects. This could be a third-party software library. It could be something within your enterprise or company, things like that. Windows Control Library. This is for adding custom controls, visual or non-visual, that you can work with within the .NET environment, that you can add just widgets and things like that, different little objects that you can have. You can use them as third-party objects that you can sell, or you can just create them for your own projects. Smart device applications for Pocket PC and small devices. Of course, you have your ASP.NET web applications and web services, which we're going to explore. Quite great that you can work with them within Visual Studio. You have the mobile ones as well for PDAs and cell phones set up quite nicely. Web controls are like the Windows controls, except they're specifically for the web. Then you have console applications, which we're going to see quite a lot within the training. This is just used from the DOS prompt. You can have parameters and things like that. We'll take a look at that. Windows services, which are great and easy to be able to create Windows services within .NET and C#. You can do some really complex things, but because of .NET and the wonderful way it works, it makes Windows services really a lot easier than it used to be. Trust me. Empty projects and empty web projects if you're more advanced and you just want to set things up nicely and quickly, and it really helps you out a lot so you don't have a lot of code that you don't want. And that's about it. You can change the view here as well. These are templates if you want to change the view. Other templates as well. So we'll just create a Windows application. We'll find a folder to select here. We'll just create a folder here. Right click, folder, starting, quick and easy. And then we'll select that folder, hit open. See that that's what's selected here in our location. We'll just call it starting, and then we'll just hit OK. And there are more options as well, depends on what you want. If you had the more open, depending on what you're doing, you're going to see exactly where this is going to go, and you can also change the solution name as well. Not a big deal, but just so you can select that if you wanted to. Better not to do that at the beginning. So then it does a little bit of work. Visual Studio wants to be a resource hog in the beginning when you first open up, when nothing's open up, and it takes a little bit of time to get that started, but no big deal. Now, what you normally be working with, you can take a look at the View menu. You're going to be working with the Solution Explorer, which you see there to the right, Control-Alt-L. You can also work with the Object Browser to browse the objects, browse the assemblies, and the namespaces. As you can see, there are plenty to work with. And then, because we're working with the Windows application, we have additional ones added here. It depends on what you're actually referencing. And then you can narrow down to see and find different interfaces and methods and classes and properties and all those great, wonderful things which we're going to explore in great detail. You also get information about it here at the bottom. And you can click and navigate and traverse through the list. Close whatever you want. You see you have multiple things open here. I don't like the Start page, so I close that. Object Browser is getting on my nerves, so I close that. And then from the View menu, take a peek at the toolbox. It's already there. It's off to the side. Drag out, as you wish. Make things to work the way you want to. Visual Studio is a standard way to work with an application. Many many applications copy the way Visual Studio works, there are also controls that work like Visual Studio that you can drop right into your projects and use as you want to. So you have your toolbox. If you want, you can hide it using the auto hide selection there. Same thing with your solution provider there, your solution explorer. Well, it's sort of like a solution provider. Anyway, so toolbox, you just drop things onto your form there. You can resize it or you can just click and not worry about it. We'll go over Windows applications in great detail and look at a whole bunch of other things. This is just to get you started, get the feet wet, and dive in as we need to as we move forward. So now we have this view here. We can right click anywhere we want to get the properties of the object that we're selecting, of your button if you wanted to. Just note when you get the properties up there, it wants to drag and dock in certain places. It can get a little bit of annoying for you. You can resize things, but you'll get used to it. You'll see me have it dock when I don't want it to a few times throughout the training. It's hard within this small screen size, of course. So when you look at your properties, you can navigate to the other elements that you have here, the other objects that you're working with. You can change properties like the background color, foreground color, and many advanced properties that we'll see as we work throughout the training. We're going to see this in the Windows section specifically. So you can make changes. You can change the size of this particular form here as well by looking in different views within your properties. Categorized, you have your alphabetical, and other views that you can work with as well. Now, that's the properties for the most part. We'll change those in other videos. But there's a lot more to working with this, as we're going to see.